Welcome to Mysteries of Writing, where many topics are taken into deeper perspective. Today's episode will cover write with passion. So what does it mean to write with passion? Well, there's many different meanings when it comes to having writing as a passion. First of all, before there's passion, there is some type of liking to it. Or maybe it can be like a love-hate relationship. I can see writing both ways. And when it comes to writing, so probably started whenever you were like about 2, 3 years old, just picking up a crayon or a pencil, just coloring, writing your name, whatever. But then you get to school and you're forced to do certain things with the pencil to write with, and yeah, you're forced to do it, and it's like for a grade. But let's take this out of the way from like school, work, etc., and let's focus on you yourself. How do you feel when you write something? And I'm not saying like the next big story. I'm not saying that. Instead, it's more of how you feel when you write something down. Even like as short as like 3 sentences. Could writing be as bright as sunlight, or maybe as gloomy and dark as rain? There's so many different ways you can write. It can be journaling, or just write poems, write fiction, write nonfiction. There's so many different ways you can do writing. There's no one telling you what to do. Writing allows you to express your creativity. Writing starts from somewhere, and you can just like it because you want to do it like time to time when you have nothing else to do, or whenever you have just some spare time, like, or maybe like it's just a little awkward, like, I'm just gonna go to this room for a few minutes and I'll just, and you just begin writing. Yeah. But once you make writing a habit, then you'll have this feeling like, I think something's cooking, like really cooking, and I think I think I want to write more than just once a week or whenever I have time to do it. I want to make sure I dedicate time to the craft of writing. And that's where that passion comes in. When you think of it more than just a hobby. People who are getting into writing, like, it's never too late to do it, by the way. You can start at any time. When you find that passion, it's good to express it and find people who also like writing as well and would love to hear what you want to write about and storytell. And that's really amazing. I would just say, yeah, share your love and experience with writing, like from the get go, and all along the way, you will grow to learn more about writing and even love the craft even more. When it comes to writing, the ultimate goal is to love what you're doing. And I don't know if you ever heard the term write what you know. That's not that's a nice thing to put out there, like writing what you know from experience and all, but it can be something limiting. And why I say limiting is because if you only write what you know, you're never going to really know the unknown that's out there, because there's so much that you can write about, and just writing only what you're familiar with will limit you from like expressing different avenues. And with writing, you want to start small, you want to start familiar, and work your way up and expand to different avenues, and cross different roads that will allow you to expand not only your knowledge but your craft, because the goal, once again, is to get to love the craft. And this past Wednesday, I actually went to a writing club at my local library, and I did not know how expressive I was about writing it. Like, oh, this, that. I was like, a lot of the things we were talking about was writing critiques and writer's block, and I just couldn't believe how open and expressive I was. Like, actually give my knowledge about writing and how to handle different things. And I felt very enthusiastic. I wish it lasted for hours. I liked being there and the writing group, and I wanted it to become like a regular basis, a week to week basis, and not just for an hour, because I feel like an hour sounds like plenty of time, but at the same time it doesn't. Uh, like it does depend on what you make of it, how you make of it, and how it turned out. But I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half or 2 hours, like, really get that time in and like really invest the time to get to know other writers who also really like to write and love the craft of storytelling. And that's truly amazing. And discovering that for yourself is such an amazing thing. It really is. Like, trust me. And for like a little while, like I'm trying to put out my first book, Murray Mysteries, like promoting it and want to get it published, which like, I'm in the process of doing, by the way. Um, there's so much that's like not in the story that I really want to just tell and spoil and just open my mouth and just spit it out. But at the same time, I want Murray Mysteries to be out there and tell the story it's going to tell without me just telling you everything that happens and goes on. So part of it is like having that balance. And I feel very passionate about talking about Murray Mysteries. I know that it's going to be a trilogy. And yeah, there's so many things I know about Murray Mysteries, but there's also things that I don't know about Murray Mysteries that I would love to know more about. I even have like prequels that began in my head, in my imagination, that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it so much. Like, I want to tell this story. And I'm in the very beginning stages with each of those prequels. One of them, I'm on chapter 2. Another one, I have an audio recording of half of that story. And the third one, I have the entirety of chapter 1 with an outline up to chapter 10. And then I know the ending to that. See? And yes, being very passionate about writing and what you want to write about will expand those avenues of what you want the story to be. And funny to know that yesterday, actually last night, I was outlining like crazy. So I had this story idea. This is like a series that I want to write in the future based on the main series, and I haven't written yet, but I'm very passionate about writing it and want to see it out there. Not anytime soon, but I really am passionate about the concepts that I'm going over with it, and then you know, uh, seeing how that goes. And the short stories that I've been writing have taken me in different avenues I didn't expect to turn to. And when I did, I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought I would ever write this scene. And I literally thought about that like about 2 months ago when I wrote that short story. I was like, whoa, I never wrote anything like this. And that's one thing I knew, that I was actually expanding my writing and my passion to craft, like expecting the unexpected, as like, wow, it goes kaboom, blowing it up. I also took my passion for writing through writing UIL my senior year, and I wrote some essays. The first one was about, what was the first one about? I didn't win. I know that for sure. I think it was a practice. Okay. I'm thinking of another one. But okay, the first one I did was, I know. Ooh, I wish I remember. Was it? Maybe I did a sample. I think I did a simple, but I know the second one I did, I got sixth place. It was about when the world blows up, and it was about like how technology we use all now these days, and how it's shaping violence and how we see the world through a different lens, pretty much. And I wrote a 3-page essay about it, and I was talking about things that happened during 2020 and book talk and what's that Oxstorm? Yeah, Oxstorm that sold 2.7 million copies in the first week. I'm telling you, the world blew up. Like I just showed different examples, and I'm like, yeah. And then the last one I did, my third one, it was about how uh first graders versus 12th graders, pretty much like how they perceive education. I was like, it wasn't my best work, but I tried. But my point is, like, expanding my passion for writing in different avenues will tell me like what I do well in and what I probably don't do as well in. But even with my weaknesses or some flaws that other people saw, maybe I can't make that better. And yeah. But anyways, back to last night with this crazy passion of outlining. I actually outlined 2 stories based on this future series, and it was crazy. So pretty much, the female main character in this story, she gets badly injured. Like half of her body is paralyzed, and gosh, it's like literally life or death. Like literally, the doctor sees this other person who has this similar condition. Well, assumes he realizes that it had no effect on him. He's normal, and then he comes up with this lie that he tells everyone. And this lie is what drives the story. And the major theme that I have for this story is how long can you keep the lie? And the longer the lie goes, the worse things get. Like bad things really happen. Like because of the lie. So with that lie, oh gosh, I want to look at my notes really quick. Like not because I'm forgetting, but I'm like I want to make sure it's like the timeline's right. Like ooh, this is just really crazy. So yeah, it began with a lie, and then a secret, which was going to turn into a lie in some sort, and then there was a bargain to get the truth, while there's still this big lie going on, and then other characters started to figure out and all that stuff, but still they're unable to detect the main lie. So bad things are just keep on happening, and the bad things won't stop happening until the truth is told from that main lie. And it's so funny how the doctor, okay, it the doctor was the person who lied, and the doctor is very close to the main character in this story. And I know it's not easy to swallow the truth, but I know it's not easy like to for the truth to be told, but it has to be told because it's the right thing to do. And would you rather hold on to the truth or stick with that lie and let it keep going? Like, I would rather be nearly broken with the truth than keep going on with an endless lie that could cost me, like, tremendously. That was basically the first story. The second story was about, I know I'm suddenly so passionate about these 2 stories because I literally came up with it last night. It's so crazy and wild. The second story, so the theme, I'm going to tell you the theme right now. So how much are you willing to take? So it's really like a lot of sacrifice, and really, and pretty much this is a continuation from the first story I told. And with the second story, okay, they're having these improvements to make the band stronger. It's kind of like, you know how chains, but without the thing in the middle together. And they made the improvements, but the main character in this story has no support of it. Instead, she suggests of someone binding themselves to that person, and that don't sound as thrilling either. Neither idea is great. They sound stupid in my opinion, but like it's like which one's the better option for eternity? So yeah, and the story took different twists and turns. Originally, I had a person in mind to like, hey, this is going to be a person to do it, but I changed it midway because not only that it make more sense, but the story just turned into a different direction. And I trust the story, so that's what I did with it. And at the end, that person ended up binding themselves with the person with who had the bands, and the story keeps on continuing and all that stuff. But my point is, when you are so passionate with writing, like stories just come at you like out of nowhere at random times. Um, but yeah, but whenever that is pumping, take advantage of it and like really put it into fuel. And what I did, I literally wrote it down. I wrote the story down like in order, like of the events and all that stuff. And I made sure so when I go back to write it, I'm like, I have a great idea how the story is going to flow. And even though I might not remember every single piece of dialogue, I know for sure like the theme, the title, the events that takes place. And sometimes that's all you need in order to tell the story that you want to tell. Even if you're like in some type of writer's block, and writer's block is when you have no idea what to write. It's like your mind goes blank. And even when you're so passionate about writing, writer's block can get in your way and be like, bye. And that happens. But it's really what you make of it and how you're going to get through it. And if you just give in and like give up, there's no point of it. But if you are passionate about writing, you're gonna find a way to get out of writer's block. Sometimes you need to stop writing in order to keep writing, and sometimes you gotta get your mind thinking about something else or a different story, or write a different story, and then get back to the main story that you've been working on for however long. It it really depends on the type of writer you are and how you process things, especially when you're like you hit a roadblock. So yeah. Also, I have right here a kind of like a book series. It's based on the main book series that I want to write in the future. That has a lot of short stories. That is in its own thing, and then this is like era two of those short stories that each has 6 parts, and yeah, it's telling a story. And I have the years of how long this book lasts. So book one lasted from like about 3 years. Book two, no, 4 years. 4 years for book one, and book two, 3 years, and then the third one another 3 years. And it's like it's missing bits and pieces, but overall, it tells a over but overall it's telling a story that is beyond just, oh, there's gonna be a lot of time jumps. And when you're so passionate about writing, sometimes you're gonna have stories that are gonna have major time jumps, and it's like, whoa, where are we? One thing to keep in mind when it comes to time jumps, like you want to catch your reader up to date without it being an info dump. And how to do that, like, I'll just say briefly mention it. Like, briefly mention it. Like, if it's like years of a giant jump, like, you can, like, okay. But sometimes it's unnecessary and it can just throw the reader off from the story. So it's important to understand when it's necessary to have that little refresher and when not to, because that can determine if someone's going to get into the next book or not, like, or when they get into it, like, should they continue on in that sequel or that third book or four, etc. But I think with a trilogy is fine. But if it's like spanning more than 3 books, like, don't just reiterate every single time, like, a certain amount of time just happens and then whoop, okay, we are like this much later. Don't like refresh our minds with like, okay, this is what happened from the previous. Okay, have you heard from TV shows? I bet you have, like, previously on that show, and how they recap what was in the previous episode so you can get into the episode you're currently watching, or like based on that previous episode that related to those characters, like a certain group of characters, because they're going to be in that particular episode. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you can do that. Other times, do not. A great example is with my short stories. I know I'm keep mentioning my stories because, like, this is like to help, like, okay, like, the story thread, so just to come all together. There's no other way I can't explain it if I don't give my own stories an example. So with my short stories, I have 75 short stories in a span of this future series. And there are certain ones that are back to back to back. But there are other ones that certain themes or certain conflicts are reintroduced or invited back into the story. And sometimes I had to reiterate that, or be like, or maybe it's like it's someone else's point of view, but they like mention it in a different way in their own perspective. And that's what I've been juggling with those short stories in particular, because I'm writing the short stories in multiple POVs. Like, each short story is like a different perspective, but you know what I mean? They all like are connected. And like I said, there's 75 in that short story series, and it's wild. I really love it, and this is really pretty much what I've been talking about. Like, it's like this is based on that short story series, and this is just more content that I came up with recently. And when you're so passionate with writing, you might talk as much as me or even more. And hey, that happens because when you're really passionate about something, you want to let it out and let everyone know that, hey, 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 hey. And that's all right. That's all right. Because we're all passionate about something and we want to get our ideas and whatever's in our mind, we just want to spit it out. And not everyone has to agree or be like, oh, okay, why are you telling me? But I'm just letting it out, okay? So, write with passion, never give up, and write the story you want to tell.